hey, thanks for checking out this workshop. Before we get to the recording of the workshop that was done over Skype, there's a couple things that I want to cover that we maybe should have addressed during the workshop because they caused a few problems. So this is relevant to people that haven't used Audacity before and who are using Audacity to record online sessions, like discussions, like roundtables and stuff like that for the podcast. It's also just kind of worth refreshing because basically those of us that made the mistakes are people that do this and have done this before. So yeah, let's get that sorted out now instead of repeating the same problem over and over. Okay, so on a lot of computers, there are multiple bits of things that are recording sound or could record sound at the same time. Similarly, there are multiple options for producing sound at the same time. So when we're doing recordings and when we're sharing things over Skype, we want to make sure that we're getting the right sounds, recording through the right path and sharing them through the right path as well. Okay, so let's first look at Audacity. So Audacity, I have a lot of audio programs. So Audacity. Okay, so this is what Audacity 2.1 looks like. It's the latest version of Audacity. Came out in March. Yeah, if you don't have this one, you can update to it. If you have an earlier version, it'll look basically the same. So on Audacity, to make sure that we're recording from the right input, you want to check out this drop-down menu next to this little microphone symbol. So this microphone is the important one. Okay, so here there's an option, it says here, recording devices, and currently it's listening to the built-in microphone. That's not the microphone I want to use because I have this nice Yeti alternative microphone that sounds a lot better and is probably, worth using instead for my recording of Audacity. So here, in looking at the drop-down menu, I can choose, yay, Yeti stereo microphone. And now it will record with the microphone that I want. Now, if you start Audacity and then plug in your microphone, it's not actually going to know this other input. It only knows the audio inputs that were available when it started. So if you, forget and plug in your mic afterwards, you're not going to have an option to select, the sound input that you want. So you're going to have to quit Audacity and start again. So that's really important. Make sure you have the right audio input into the recording itself. And just to quickly demonstrate how much of a difference this makes, I'll just do a little tiny recording of this here so that we can all share in the sort of extent of the problem. Okay, so starting from the built-in microphone, I'll just begin a recording. So one of the problems with recording with the internal microphone on a Mac, I'm not sure which PCs, it depends on the make, whether they have microphones built in, is that you can hear the keys, which is a big problem, or mouse clicks. So these are things that you don't want to be recording necessarily during whatever. Also, it sounds kind of crappy. Okay, so that's what the internal microphone sounds like. Now let's switch this. Let's stop the recording. Stop. And maybe start a new audio track. Oh, it already started a new audio track. Anyway, start a new audio track and switch this to the Yeti microphone. So this is the microphone I want to be using, and this is what it sounds like instead. Hey, this is the, oh no, stop. I don't use Audacity so much, which is why this is kind of problematic. Okay, go to the record button. The record button. You see it even pops up and tells you what it is. Okay, record. Hey, so this is recording over the Yeti microphone, which is the one that I actually want to use because it gives a much cleaner recording and it also reflects a lot of different characteristics. It's a less focused sound, or it's a less focused microphone, so it picks up a lot more background, but anyway, we'll get into all that later. Yeah, so here I want to make sure that Audacity is recording from the Yeti. Right? Good. Okay. So in this case, Audacity is recording from the right thing. You also want to make sure that it's outputting sound to the right thing. So here it gives options for outputs, and I could actually output through the Yeti, which, because there's like a little plug-in thing, I can use built-in audio, which is connecting to my headphones, which is useful for when I'm listening back to this, or I've got a bunch of different options that you don't need to worry about. Anyway, make sure that you're using the right outputs when you're trying to listen back to whatever, otherwise you just can't find it. Now, you also want to make sure that Skype is listening to the right inputs. So I'm going to switch to Skype here. Hello, Skype. And go to Preferences on Skype. Bing. And here I might have a problem. Okay, so currently my microphone for Skype, so the thing that would be transmitted to Skype if I was in a Skype call is this thing called Soundflower 2, which is like an alternate thing. Anyway, it's not what I want. I want the microphone, I want the inputs to Skype. So what the people at the other end of the Skype call hear, I want it to be my Yeti. So here I click in and I select stereo microphone. So Yeti stereo microphone is the signal I want to share, so that's good. Here again, so you can check the outputs, and the outputs I want to be my headphones so that I can listen to all the other people that are talking and not have, feedback or weirdness or other options that make things quite complicated. Okay, so that's where the microphone is. By the way, while I'm at the preferences, just to remind people, when you're in a call and you want to be able to control your microphone settings yourself as opposed to letting Skype take control, you want to make sure that this is unclicked. So if you go to Preferences and you go to Audio Visual, there's this thing called Automatically Adjust Microphone Settings. Please do not have that checked. You want that little square blank, because otherwise Skype does all kinds of weird things and it's awkward. Okay. So that's how you fix the inputs on Skype. And it's good to make sure that your Skype is transmitting the same signal as your microphone into Audacity. Otherwise, you get complications later, and the person editing has a bit of a headache to sort out. So yes, have these things comply, and then you know that you're getting the signal that you were expecting, as opposed to accidents of recording that are very awkward. Okay. Yeah. So now different recordings, so if you're using like GarageBand, actually I could just open GarageBand and show this to GarageBand. Hello, caps lock. In GarageBand, which I know some other people use, and so once it opens up, let's say we do a new project, we choose this, blah, blah, blah. I'll go through a bunch of things. You can't see me anymore, but that's not a problem. Okay, so now it's showing that there's activity, it's recording from something, but I don't know actually what it's recording from. So here, maybe I can go to Preferences, let's see, or there might be an option elsewhere, but anyway, Preferences will probably give me what I want. The input device is System Settings, or I could check specifically my other microphone. So if your system, this is on a Mac in particular, but if your system is recording from something other than your USB mic or your USB input of some kind of microphone, you've got a problem. So you're going to actually be recording some other input which might not be what you want. So make sure if you're using GarageBand, just like if you're using Audacity, that the inputs, the audio inputs, the source of the sound that's being recorded is the one that you want. And don't assume that it's the same from the last time you used it, because all kinds of things can change this. You also see here that there's this thing called System Settings. Again, I don't know what it's like on a PC, but quickly I'll show on a Mac. I'm going to quit GarageBand because that's a problem. No, don't save. Preferences is I can go to Sound. And this is where I control the sort of preferred inputs and outputs of the system. So these are the system settings. So according to my system settings, my output is the headphones, which is great. That's exactly what I want. And this gives me some options to control things further. So I can, for example, move this up or move this down. And if you're watching the little thing up here, you can see that this actually controls it. So it gives the overall loudness of the output. There's other places to control it, which causes a lot of confusion, but that's one place. Same thing with the inputs. So here I can choose the usual input to be the internal microphone, or I can scroll down and make sure that it's the stereo Yeti, and then that'll be the standard background one, but To be honest, if you can, it's best to make sure within the program that you're using that it's listening to the right inputs, because you don't know which things are listening to the system and then which things don't, and it really, whatever, it depends. Take control within the program so you know what you're actually getting. And here again, we have some control over the input volume, so that's the gain for that input device. And you can even check, actually, your levels by looking at this little meter. Anyway, that's what it's like on a Mac. I can't tell you what it's like on a PC, but still, either way, you can control your inputs by looking at the preferences or settings of your own, of that particular program. Okay, that's about it for this check on things. As we progress, there'll be little bits of text that tell you what kind of went wrong. Yeah, just keep this in mind for your own recording exercises, and that'll make everyone's life easier if you're actually getting the signal you want. Otherwise, it's like a waste of a good microphone, basically. So yeah, that's it, and you'll see me for the next hour, so I hope you enjoy what follows. Cheers. Okay, so the way this is going to go through for this workshop is we'll go over some basics of recording with Audacity, and specifically looking at gain control, because loudness is basically the most central problem when we're dealing with various kinds of recording. And then we'll get into how we record in terms of like just practically, like how close to the mic, how far away, the question of signal versus noise, which is basically our ongoing fight with any kind of measurement, but it's relevant to audio in a very nice literal way, noise being noise. Okay, and we'll play around with a blanket towards the end. Does that sound good? Okay.
Sounds great.
Excellent. Okay, so first up, what kinds of microphones do we have here? I'm on a Yeti, but it's positioned like way far away, and so it sounds very weird.
I'm on a Yeti too.
I'm on a Yeti.
I am on my shitty Jabra headset a little better, but I don't actually have a cool mic.
You actually sound okay to me, MK.
Mm-hmm.
I occasionally work from home, and I sound like I am using the headset from another room. I know. I hate that headset. But anyway, I'm on a Yeti, and it's about a foot away from my mic, approximately 45 degrees away. Like, I'm not speaking in front of it.
Aha! All right, excellent. One of the basic rules of audio, and it says it right here, but I'll repeat it, is you can make a good recording sound bad. You can't fix a bad recording. I mean, we can try. We can do all kinds of things to make it a little bit cleaner. But if you can get a good recording from the beginning, it's like all kinds of headaches fade away. Everybody here has played with Audacity, so that probably doesn't need to be looked at too closely. Here's a bunch of files that I recorded using a bunch of different microphones. So I guess we could just play the first one, multi-mic. If you can see it on my screen, I'll just play it here, and you should be able to hear it too. All right, this is the internal microphone. So this is the Yeti. So this is the Yeti Cardioid with a windscreen on it. This is recording on my Shure 58. Now I'm talking into a headpiece that I have from, I don't know what. Okay, so that's me recorded under 4 different settings. There's a few others that I recorded too, but those are the more useful ones. And you can hear how they all have very different qualities. Yeah, so we have some of that variation here, but there's other variations in terms of our spaces that shift how we sound. And so we'll play with that. Okay, one of the most important things, I guess the important thing when dealing with recording audio is controlling the gain. And we can do that most easily by tracking the levels. So if you guys open up Audacity, open up a new file, there's a thing at the top that says click to start monitoring, and you click it. And you can see the loudness of your microphone input. In this case, I have mic input built in. In 3-patch, we've tried to start recording, or tried to have our recordings at a standard loudness, which is around 23, so approximately here between 24 and 21. So if you kind of average in that range, that's pretty good. In looking at this, as I get louder, or if I get closer to the mic, you can hear me get closer. That's not showing up there. I wonder if it's using the right... No, it's using the right inputs. Okay. Oh, it does that. Okay. No? Ah! Oh, there you go. Sorry, guys. So now you can see it go all the way up to the red. And that's the danger point, right? That means that we're going to get clipping. So a digital signal records on a range from -1 to 1. And you need to fit the signal in, the relevant parts of the signal, into that range. And so if you're recording too loud, you'll end up having a lot of clipping because you'll have all these values that'll try to be larger than 1. If you record too softly, you may lose qualities of the signal. So softly is safer than more loud, particularly given that we have a decent bit rate for most of this, but yeah. So the idea here was that we could just play around with gain settings and actually just like record things ourselves, try to get a really close, loud, actually staying at the same distance, record ourselves with really high gain, really low gain, and then try to find it in that spot around 20-ish, playing with this thing here. So all the way up or way down so that you can like not hear me as clearly.
What do you have your, because you have a Yeti, what do you have your gain, like there's a little knob for gain on there, right?
Yeah.
Does that do anything
So,
or?
It does do things. Okay, first there's two places to adjust levels on the Yeti. One is just for the headphones and one is for the audio input. The audio input, okay. Usually when you're recording, there's like 5 or 6 different places where you can mess with the gain. We want to make things fairly standard so we can know where we can control things the best. When recording on the Yeti and using another point to control gain, I always put it to the middle. And if that's too sensitive, if that's too loud, then I'll turn it down.
Okay, that's helpful.
So that's a good place to start.
Finn, quick question.
Yeah.
Sorry, I only just got my monitoring working in Audacity. What is the number range that we're sort of aiming for?
We try to record around 23.
Okay.
So that gives us enough headroom. Okay, headroom is the sort of space between your highest sound, or the highest amplitude wave, and the top, right, 1. And so you want to be able to save a certain amount of headroom. You don't want to have your peaks to be above, let's say, -6. So if you're talking normally, having it around 20 is a pretty safe range, because when you sort of start, I don't know, like laughing and stuff like that, it ends up being really loud above that, and that usually gives you enough headroom to not have clipping.
Okay, thanks.
So what do we do to make it do that cool little monitoring thing that yours is doing?
You click right here. Doo-doo-doo-doo. I don't know how big my screen is on your screen, but on Audacity, you've got like the normal controls. You've got your mouse tools. You have you have your microphone monitor, and then you have your audio output monitor.
So
okay. I see. Mine's doing that. It just
you have to
already.
click.
All right. Okay. Got it.
If you don't,
mine is showing up as red, where yours is showing up as green. Is that just a different version of Audacity, or does that mean something?
yes, I see. So you've got red.
Yep.
Going on over here.
It's like red and then a different color red, but it seems to be okay. Also,
Okay.
my gain physically on the mic is set to about 45 degrees left of center. So if I put it up to the middle, I'm gonna
Be way loud.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and
Yeah.
fuck that
The
up
center's
now.
a good place to start, and if you have to like switch it because of how you generally record, then you can go ahead and use that first. So can you guys do like a quick recording using your gain specifically? So sitting where you are now, how you would normally record. Record like, you know, this is too high, this is too low. this is just right. Controlling your gain. So using your monitor, I'll just demonstrate it here. Okay, so I'm pressing record on this one. I'm gonna bring my gain way up and say, this is too loud. I don't know if that's hurting your ears. And then I'll bring it way down. This is too soft. This is so soft and there's nothing recording. Okay, this is too soft. And then I'm actually gonna pause to get it right. Hold on, pause. Okay, ta-ta-da. I'm talking as I normally would. Yeah, that seems about right. Okay, unpause. And this is just right.
I uploaded mine, and it's probably idiotic sounding, but should be there.
Good.
Mine sounds terrible the entire way through. This is hard.
See, this is why we need to do this, because the whole shame of oh no, I sound so bad.
Well, I was listening to the last episode, and I hated the way I sounded. I absolutely hated it. So I was like, Chelsea, you were going to sit down through the entire evening and learn how to make this better because that was awful.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Back in the olden days when I was actually doing stuff for 3-Patch before I moved to the other end of the world, I was, recording and editing the clip together for the news and stuff like that, and I was like, I hate this. How long do I have to listen to myself? And then when I download the podcast, I just skip over that part.
I find that I often skip over the news as well. I'm just like, fuck this noise. So hard, I don't
Literal pun.
Yep.
Literal pun.
Literal pun.
So, sorry, to back up and ask a maybe dumb question. So there's two markers, right? That I guess it's sort of the average or the high. I'm not really sure. It's probably the high for because there's two levels of color, right? There's a medium color and then a darker color. I think for us it's red.
Yes.
Right?
Okay. Yes.
So the part that should be setting at negative 20, 23-ish, or whatever that level is, should that be the first tag? Or the second one?
What?
So I think it should be the second.
The second one should be negative.
Because what I'm assuming is happening, which is different from my setup, is that it's reporting the average as well as the peak. And it's sort of like it's measuring the loudness on two different time scales. Okay, so you can see this little blue bar here. That's telling me how loud I've gotten over this whole recording. And in this case, I'm not recording, so it's this whole time that it's been monitoring. So if I get really loud, sorry, I'm going to do this again. Hello! Okay, so now you see I've reached the red here, and that little red line's just going to stay throughout, and it's going to be you've peaked, you've gone too far, you're never, this recording is going to be bad forever. You should stop and start again so that you don't actually reach this line. The blue that's right next to it, I don't know what high your resolution is when you're looking at this, but anyway, the blue that's right next to it is also telling me that I've gotten really, really loud. This other little green thing that keeps popping up and sticking around, that gives us sort of a short-term high. So it's maybe over 10 seconds or something. And then the green bar that you see bouncing around here is, as far as I can tell, it's the RMS, so it's the root mean square over, I don't know, maybe a 1/10 of a second or something. And it's bouncing around evaluating that. It's not the peak value over that interval, it is the sort of in the middle. You guys that have those two shades of red, I'm guessing that that's the RMS and the peak. So when you look at a recording in Audacity, you've got these two tones, right? That you see here. So again, that's telling you two different types of measurement of loudness or amplitude for this kind of thing. So the average versus the peak. And they're different because it depends on the shape of the waveform, how much sort of like weight is distributed where, and yeah, it's the cumulative energy levels across the different frequencies and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, there are 2 different levels. You don't want any of them to be above 0 or 1, but the one that we're more interested in for the most part is having a high enough RMS without peaking. Yeah. Okay. Good. Let's just listen to this.
All right, this is a test recording. We're going to turn the gain way up. This is too loud. This
Excellent.
is too loud. Now we're going to turn the gain way down. Okay, this is too soft. This is too soft. All right, and now we're going to try and be about normal, about my normal recording range. This is about right. Maybe about right. Is this about right? Maybe this is about right. All right. Okay.
I'm glad we were all doing
just
the same thing.
right.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Okay, excellent. This is exactly what we're supposed to happen. Okay. Yeah, so the too loud, you can see, is like, yeah, way too loud. And if we get into that more specifically and we zoom out, one of these is the one that I want. Shift is the one that I want.
Whoa.
What'd you just do?
What did I just do?
That's awesome.
Oh, okay. Something you guys might not be familiar with is over here you have the range that it shows of your wave range. Okay, between 0 and -1 and 1. And you can click on it to zoom in. Or if you press shift, it turns the plus into a minus and you can zoom out. So now actually we're looking over a much larger range from 2 to -2. Now I'm using the magnifying glass tool to zoom in here, and we can go way in, and you can see the waveform is basically getting chopped off here and here. And so that's, anyway, so that's what happens when you clip. Basically we digitally cannot actually record above that level, so the only thing we can do is just chop it off, and it sounds horrible. So anyway, so thank you, Toasty, for making a really awful recording.
Yay, I did it.
Okay, now from this view, the loud is really loud, the soft is like invisible, right? So let's move on to that soft bit and zoom in instead here. Oops, this always happens. You have to like actually click on the 0 for it to keep in. Okay, so now if we zoom way in, hey, we can actually see a wave signal. Let's just.
All right, this is a test recording.
So,
We're gonna turn.
Sorry.
All right, this
No.
is a test recording.
Oh my god.
I'm just trying to torture you, Toasty. This is what this is all about.
Yeah,
Okay.
I keep wanting to apologize for repeating myself or something.
Too soft.
I'm saving this UGG and I'm turning it into my new ringtone.
Okay, so let's just look at the too soft and keep an eye on the monitor here for amplitude out. So do that again.
Okay, this is too soft. This is too soft.
Okay,
such a
now we're
Alright,
getting into
and
the,
now we're going to try and be about normal.
so now you're in the
About my
minus
normal
30
recording
range.
This
We want
is
to be
about
higher than
right.
that.
Maybe about right. Is this about right?
That's
Maybe
about
this
right.
is about right.
Yeah.
All right.
Sorry, I should not like answer your recording. That's like
No, that's helpful because I think I was looking at the 2 different colors of red and trying to figure out which one was the right one to. Yeah, so that's helpful.
Good. Okay. So another thing to keep in mind, though, as we're looking at this, I want to zoom out a little. Okay. Now here, when we're in the too loud, you see how it's thick all over, and then when it's too soft, it's like really thin in between, and then when you turn it up again, it's like thick again. So
Yeah.
like this part and versus this part versus like this part.
Right.
And that comes from the background noise. So you just have underneath it all a certain amount of steady noise from all kinds of things, maybe some not steady noise as well. And that ends up being a lot of the noise that we don't want, right? We want your voice. We don't want the background noise. And so to deal with that, to find other ways of recording well that let you avoid that layer, we can do a lot with mic placement. So we can move on to that. Unless, Chelsea, have you prepared yourself to share?
I was paying attention instead of trying to figure out how to...
Okay.
It's actually, it won't let me export it. I think I don't know what's happening.
Can you export it to OGG?
It would, like, it literally says nothing except for import. Like, it won't let me click on anything else.
Have you stopped recording?
Yes.
No. This is a thing I do all the time. So,
oh my
here,
God, you're
for
right.
example,
There it goes. I just didn't press the fucking stop button. Okay.
There you go. You see, I do that. I'm really curious about MKs.
Oh God.
We'll just quickly look at this.
I'm just gonna not pay attention during this bit.
We've got this. Okay.
Oh,
Let's
God.
listen to MK.
This is going to be a short recording. My input level is now at 0.08. Now it's at 0.41. Now it's at 92. Oh my gosh, so exciting. I'm having a hard time containing myself.
That was amazing.
Okay. All right.
Thank you. I'll be
Useful
here
to
all
have
week. Tip your waitress.
Numbers associated. Okay, so are you guys keeping an eye on the levels here? Now you see, you didn't actually cross into the red here. There was sort of like danger zone, but you haven't reached the upper bound. And you can see that when you look at the wave file, or the waveform here. You also recorded in stereo.
Sorry.
We could turn that into mono. It's fine. It's just twice as much information. Basically, you're doubling the size of the file. It is useful to have your mic positioned in a way that's optimal for your particular setup, and proximity is one of the important things. So if you're in a very noisy environment, having a microphone closer to your mouth allows you to be louder relative to the background noise. Depending on your microphone, maybe you'll have to compensate for that. You should be able to bring your gain down and still have a very high level of sound, which should work well, except that when you're a lot closer to the microphone, you've got a lot of other sounds that get in there. In particular, you've got the typical sort of speech-related problems, which is pops, hisses, or s's, essing, various kinds of breathing sounds. So, there's a really stupid task that I came up with for this. It's called the Poptopkissbliss test. And what you do is just say, Poptopkissbliss, or in my recordings, I always say top pop kiss bliss, which is, anyway, do whichever you like. And what we're going to do here is you're going to be at variable levels away from your microphone, at variable distances from your microphone, and you're going to try saying pop top kiss bliss along each of the positions. So the first position is 2 fingers from your microphone. Two fingers. The infamous 2 fingers. The 2 fingers, yes.
Can we work our way up to 4?
Actually, we're going to go 2 right to the fist.
Listen, Finn, I don't know what Vicky is reading, but...
Hey, your microphone can take it, okay? This isn't good for everything, but your microphone is ready. Okay, so 2 fingers, and then a fist, and then an arm, a half an arm length, like shoulder to elbow distance, and then like way back.
I don't even know if I can get that far away. I don't have enough space.
Well, try to work out something.
I'm
Okay.
looking around my poor little desk.
Yeah.
I feel like
So
I'm gonna have to whisper
MK,
to
you
get
can't
to-
do this as easily because you're using a headset. But for those of you on a desktop microphone or whatever, you should also try, particularly if you're using a cardioid, you should do 2 fingers straight on and
If
then
we're
2
using a
fingers
what?
side of the mouth. A
If we're
cardioid.
using- What is that?
That's
the
so
butt
the
shape.
Yeti has a bunch of different settings.
It's the butt on the Yeti. That's all you needed to say.
It's a
It's
butt.
the
It's
butt.
the butt.
It's the
Yeah.
Yeti. It's the Yeti butt. You do 2
Yes.
fingers on the Yeti butt first.
Yes. Exactly. Okay.
This is how I learn. Make everything into sexual innuendos.
I'm so glad we found a mnemonic that works for you.
I both learn
Okay.
and not learn at this mode. Okay.
So let's try this. So do your recording thing. As you change distance, try to change your gain level so that you're still recording in the range that you want. And in the process of doing that, it helps to actually like pause and then adjust your gain according to the monitor and then press record again and do the sort of that next setting. Does that make sense?
Good.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, Finn, this is like chewing and talking gum at the same time.
So my
Some of us are
embarrassing
not.
admission of the moment for anyone else who's feeling silly about some of this is that I only just discovered the two buttons labeled gain and pattern on my Yeti. I've been thinking that
Yes.
the volume knob was the one knob the entire time, so there we go.
Oh, Toasty,
Yeah.
that's what I was doing.
Yeah.
Literally, I was like, well, yeah, and so I was
Yeah,
like,
you
well,
guys
that's
were
not
like the
to-
butt, and I was like, what are we talking about? I'm turning my
Turn it
microphone
around
over
and
again.
find the butt, guys. Turn it around.
So are we
If my-
supposed to
if
be
my
on
mic
the
was
top
in-
butt in the front.
Okay.
Oh
I'm
my
going to try to
God.
show MK what we're talking about. Okay. All right. I'll try
Show
this
the
again. I
butt.
tried to do this earlier,
I
but
have
you missed
seen
it.
them in real life, but oh. Okay.
Okay, so this is the front of the Yeti, and you can see there's a mute button, and then there's this like thing that you can turn, and you might not be able to see it, but there's a little headphones sign and volume written underneath. On the other side, on the other side, we've got gain, and I just opened something by accident with my thumb. Anyway, we've got gain and 4 different settings.
Okay.
So in this case, if you could see it, my gain is actually turned all the way down because the Yeti's really sensitive and I'm in a relatively quiet space, and so it ends up being most appropriate that way for my setting.
Is your Yeti like mounted on the wall?
It's on a stand right now
Okay.
because I
It's like,
didn't want to
how
have
would
it
you
on my
do
keyboard
that?
as I was typing. So 2 fingers,
Okay, so
front of the mouth,
last
side of the mouth, fist, front, side, forearm or shoulder, that actually works better, and then distant.
Well, hey, I have another question. I don't know if this is something you're going to address, but do you have your Yeti like leaning at all, or do you have it straight up?
A Yeti should be straight up, so you should be talking into the side of it. That's for the cardioid
Shit.
setting. That's how you should be. Yeah, it shouldn't
wait,
be pointing
now
at
that
your
I've
mouth.
discovered the butt, what pattern are we supposed to be using? Is the butt the,
The
right
butt.
one?
The butt.
The one that looks like a butt.
Yes.
It's just like a
So
little
that's
dimple.
cardioid.
little indent.
Do you want me to explain what a cardioid is?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Please.
So there's different types of microphones, and they're sensitive to different areas around them. So Omni is a very common type of microphone, and it's sensitive to everything around it. So it doesn't matter where the sound is coming from, it'll be picked up just as readily. A cardioid mic has its sensitivity only in mostly in one area. So it'll pick up what's directly in front of it, and it will like sort of attenuate everything that's coming from the other directions will not be as loud. So it's sensitive in a particular area. Some cardioid mics, like the things you see people like singing into, those of you that have seen my Shure 58, you'll know what I'm talking about. Or like basically anyone in a band ever. They're using a cardioid mic when they're recording from their mouth, and it's like pointed directly into their mouth because that's where it's most sensitive, is at the tip.
Right.
Because we can make that joke too.
There it is.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I miss you guys so much. Why am I? Oh,
A Yeti, it's supposed to be sitting on a table in front of you or on a tripod in front of you. And so it's actually most sensitive on the side, not the tip.
is it like the underside?
Yeah. Sorry?
Nothing. Never mind.
There's actually a cute little booklet that I actually read that came with the Yeti that has like little drawings of monsters for each setting. And that's the only reason I knew it was the butt was the right one.
Yeah.
Because it has like one
Yeah.
monster
Yeah.
recording. And then the other one was like 2 little monsters. And I was like, oh,
Yes. I like that little booklet. Yeah. So you can do like interviews also because it has like dual. Why did the light change? Okay, sorry. Yeah, you can have like sensitive at 2 ends. So actually, Chelsea, when we were recording, we did an interview before, and I had it set up stereo so it would record one side and the other into 2 different lines. And there's a little bit of bleed, obviously, but it makes you be able to focus on one way or the other. or the Omni is like
Nice.
everything around. Anyway, so the Yeti's a nice mic that gives you that flexibility. Okay, all right. Are we ready for Caroline?
No. Never
So we're starting with 2 fingers.
Hell yeah.
Okay, so this is me with 2 fingers. Poptopkissbliss. Input volume is about 0.22. 2 fingers. This is me with about 0.61 and about a fist away. Poptopkissbliss. Still not peaking. This is at about 0.76. Input volume. Poptopkissbliss. I can project a little bit better from here for sure. And I'm about an arm's length away. It's maybe less than a foot or so. Less than a foot. Definitely less than a foot. This is like 8 inches. Wow. Okay, rambling. Okay, bye.
You're
Okay,
welcome.
so you didn't get very far away.
Not really,
This
no.
is the first bit. We're gonna just look at one section. I think it's in here.
This is me with about 0.61 and about a fist away. Poptopkissbliss.
Okay, so in here,
Poptopkissbliss. Still not peaking.
so you're not peaking, but there's a little p kind of a sound here. That's one of the things that we have to worry about is pops. And we'll see probably more examples of that as we look at other people's. Let's not save changes.
Oh,
Let's see if
and
I
I'm
can
not
keep
using a pop filter or a
windscreen.
what is it? Yeah, windscreen. I'm like,
Oh, I
the
still want to get
foam
one of those.
condom thing.
Yes.
Foam condom.
Yes. Okay. Let's hear what MK did.
Okay, 2 fingers, Poptopkissbliss, fist, Poptopkissbliss, arm, Poptopkissbliss, longer arm, Poptopkissbliss.
Longer.
Okay. So that actually sounded pretty good throughout. Very similar in terms of vocal quality. And the noise level actually went down the further you went. You were speaking more loudly. I don't know why the noise would be less there. Well, the other thing that I want to point out here is the S.
2 fingers, Poptopkissbliss,
Yeah, that one's really bad. Okay. This always happens. See, it's kind of like piercing. And that's not something that you can see from the waveform itself. It's just a quality of the S that ends up being really harsh. So there's some fricatives that do that. I mean, it's basically S that's the problem. And so there's a technique in editing it's called de-essing. And we'll talk about that in the next thing. Anyway, so that's reason why. So the top pop kiss bliss is to catch S's and to catch the plosives.
2 fingers straight on. Poptopkissbliss.
Okay.
2.
That's, yes, you've got a nice clear pop right at the beginning. That's, yeah. So when it's really close, you're going to have that pop come out because it's a matter of the wind.
Is that
Like-
spike thing?
Yeah, it's right this. Sorry. I find that amusing. Let's see if we catch it. So that was front, right?
2 fingers straight on. Poptopkissbliss. 2 fingers sideways. Poptopkissbliss.
Okay, so you didn't get a pop there. Let's hurry this along.
Fist straight on. Poptopkissbliss. Fist sideways. Poptopkissbliss.
Okay, so when you turn your face sideways, obviously it's not going to be as loud.
Right.
But you also avoid the pop. It's a challenge. Okay, then you turned the gain up way high.
Arm away. Poptopkissbliss. Arm away. Poptopkissbliss. Bigger arm. Poptopkissbliss.
Everybody in their bigger arm. Jesus. Always trying to
Arm away.
I mean, everybody has 2, but I thought they were kind of the same size. You know? Okay, so actually physically changing your relationship to the microphone ends up being really deceiving, right? Because we automatically compensate for distance.
Right.
So if you were talking to someone that was like 2 fingers away, obviously you would speak very differently. And we just automatically do that. We just check ourselves. It's very hard to go against that. Make it top pop kiss bliss. It's out of the mouth. Top pop kiss bliss. Yeah. So again, here, this is without the fuzzy hat thing. And so the pop is really clear. With the fuzzy hat thing... okay, now that the hat's
I'm so
on...
confused.
I'm going to... Sorry.
No, I'm like...
This is... Yeah. What am I playing, you guys?
Condom.
I'm just like, hey,
condom.
let's make noise.
Now I get it.
Sorry?
I just had to translate into
Caroline speak.
Caroline and Chelsea speak.
Okay. Just to reiterate, what I'm playing here is recordings using those like handheld microphone things. The first one that I played was without a windscreen, so no fuzzy hat condom thing. And now, here, you can listen to me put on the condom. Okay, now that the hat's on, I'm going to turn you back down again. Top, pop, kiss, bliss. Side of the mouth. Top, pop, kiss, bliss. Now a fist away. A fist away. Top, pop, kiss, bliss. Side of the mouth. A fist away. Top, pop, kiss, bliss. Anyway, okay.
That helps a lot.
So the windscreen helps a certain amount. You can still like over enunciate. You can have a really firm pop that will make its way through, but it does bring it down a lot. And that's what a pop filter is also supposed to do. It's just kind of diverts the air when it's a really sharp, explosion. Yep. So those all sounded different, right? Because we were speaking differently, but also the relationship to the noise outside was different. Okay. Do you feel like you could hear the differences in your own recordings? Have you listened to your own recordings after having made them? Okay.
So let me test. So my conclusion was that I should sit like maybe a fist away and be sideways compared to the microphone unless I have a windscreen. Is that a reasonable conclusion?
Yeah, that seems pretty good. If my fingers are the microphone, this is a fist away. So going straight on is like this. And I think what Toasty's suggesting is to have it be like
right,
here.
Yeah, I'm sort of sitting right next to a small bookshelf and I have the microphone on it, like sitting next to me about where your fingers are compared to my face. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that means you're going to be pretty loud. You're not going to hit pops, and you're going to be the ratio to the background noise is going to be pretty good. Now, if you're using a cardioid, you should also turn it correspondingly, right? So that it's pointed at the side of your mouth.
So the mute button would be pointed towards your mouth?
Okay, got it.
Or the volume button. That's not the gain button.
Yeah. Yes.
So I understand that you'd want a certain, like the mic far enough away and, oriented toward you enough so that you feel kind of comfortable talking at a conversational level when you're in a round table and such. But my question was about the reading segments, like TMD and Corners Report.
Oh my god, I have such... That's my problem.
Reading,
I know it shows
again,
up later in the outline, but
okay. Just since while we're talking about distance. Yeah, well, how do you like to be read to? What kind of voice do you want to hear? When I'm recording readings, I'm usually like a foot away from the mic. Or more, too, sometimes even. And that's just what I'm comfortable with. But I also try to talk as if I were like lecturing or reading. I don't know. It was like a thing when growing up. I was like reading stuff aloud a lot, like in church and whatever. And so I got used to declaring in that way. So sort of orating kind of a tone, and I'm not talking to the thing right in front of me. If I'm reading, so let's say I'm reading in bed to someone who's there with me, I would still, it's not like I'd be talking to them like a handspan from my mouth, right? Otherwise I'd like get all kind of, soft and whatever. Which is, because the consonants don't have to be out there. So one of the things that you're doing when you talk sort of for proximity is you lessen the relative loudness of your consonants and you kind of amp up in relationship the sound of your vowels a little bit. So you don't enunciate as clearly, and that makes a big difference in terms of audibility and intelligibility. So if you're trying to talk to someone very far away, then you end up making all your words more crisp, as opposed to the kind of soft muttering that you can get away with when someone kind of has to pay attention to what you're doing and saying. Does that make sense? Chelsea, I have a suggestion for you.
What's up?
Can you open your Skype settings? Preferences? And then go to audio video.
Mm-hmm.
There's a little thing that says automatically adjust microphone settings.
Yeah.
Is it checked?
Yes.
Uncheck it.
Okie dokie.
So this, if you have it checked, what happens is Skype controls how loud your microphone is. And so it's constantly adjusting that, which means that you don't have control over it. So at this point, actually, we're all stuck hearing your microphone really loud because of how Skype has sort of shifted it. Skype tries to like suppress your signal when you're not talking, and there's all kinds of algorithms to do this continuously. So yeah, keep an eye out on that. Basically, once you turn it off, it'll like always be off. I think like Carolyn and MK, you've already turned it off. Toasty, I don't know if I
don't know if I have. I'm checking.
So the way that I know that this is Skype thinks that you're constantly like in a conversation, which means that if you're in a conversation with 5 people or one person lecturing at 4 people or whatever, then like it's not great. For Skype is like, we're not hearing you. We must not be hearing you. And so like it'll continually like amp up your microphone sensitivity until finally you can hear traffic outside. And I used to play games with people, and we didn't have a Ventrilo or TeamSpeak server at the time, so we used Skype, and it was small groups, so it was okay, except that we had somebody who pretty much worked, who played while on Hollywood Boulevard, and would never speak. And so occasionally we'd just be like, Tony, say something. And then like, because he'd be like, what? And he's like, just fucking say something. Like, just every once in a while.
Oh, God.
And it would be absolutely horrible because eventually you could hear traffic outside. You could hear the tourists. You could hear, it got so obnoxious. And yeah.
So I just
turn off the automatic gain
thanks
control.
For that, thanks for that tip.
Okay. Are you guys ready to play with the blanket?
Wait, so it was making me really loud? That's what
yeah.
it's
Your background now you can turn your Yeti down a little. Then we'll lose some of the background hum.
The background noise got really like when you came back, because I think that you were muting in between. But Skype didn't know.
My gain is all the way down.
Okay. Go to Audacity.
Okay.
God, I have to play with the blanket. I'm gonna mute myself and try to rearrange a little bit more so I'm not like picking up random, like I have a hotel key card. I've like this. My room is a mess.
Sure. Guys, get your blankets. It's time for the blanket. Okay. All right, so we've already talked about how different microphones are sensitive in different areas. Headsets, for example, are very focused, and so there's like super cardioids, kind of. The Yeti is a more open cardioid. You heard the recording of the Shure 58, and that is, again, very specific. You heard at the beginning the internal microphone of the multi-mics thing. Actually, maybe I'll just play it. Where's that window? Multi-mic. I'll just play this again, so you guys can listen to the different sounds of the microphones. All right, this is the internal microphone. So this is the Yeti. So this is the Yeti Cardioid with a windscreen on it. This is recording on my Shure 58. Now I'm talking into a headpiece that I have from, I don't know what. Okay, so in each of those, there's a different sound to them. And you might have noticed, let's say, the Shure 58. This is recording on my Shure 58. Okay, there's a this little, is recording on my Shure 58. Stop. Now I'm talking in... Okay, sorry. I'm actually very bad at Audacity. Anyway. So that was a very close kind of a sound, the headset too. Whereas the Yeti is sort of, well... So this is the Yeti. In that case, you can hear a certain amount of environmental noise, right? There's like a of a car going by. And there's sort of like a reverby thing. So this is the Yeti. Compared to with the windscreen. So this is the Yeti Cardioid with a windscreen on it. There's a little bit of reverb. now I was recording in a big empty room when I was doing that, and so the reflections weren't very quick. But now I'm currently in a small room that has padding and blankets and stuff like that, because if I don't have that, then I'll have these weird reflections. So I'm going to try to make a reflection by lifting up my blanket and being on the other side of it. So I don't know how well this will work. It's been a while since I've used this space without... Does this sound any different? Am I just like making stuff up?
Yeah, it
This
does.
sounds different?
Yeah.
And then I put the blanket back down, and now
Yeah.
I sound kind of
Yeah.
how I
Yeah,
usually sound.
actually.
What?
Yeah, actually.
What's happening here is when you have a flat surface, the sound bounces off in a very clean way. It's sort of like how a mirror reflects light in a very consistent way, as opposed to like, I don't know, something that's like a matte finish. So the sound is the same. It will, because of the wave thing, you know, it bounces off of flat things and it kind of gets scattered by fuzzy things. There's other kinds of things that people take into consideration when they're insulating a sound space, and it has to do with absorption of sound. In this case, what I have around me doesn't really absorb it. It just kind of fuddles it, which is fine. I mean, there's a little bit of absorption too, but that's the point of having this sort of like blanket thing. So if we want to have a recording that's relatively dry, so without this sort of clear, sort of crystalline reverberation, then being under something soft or having soft things surround you makes a big difference, which is why the blanket is useful. So this task, if you're willing to take up the challenge, is to record in your normal setting without the blanket. Just do like a, hi, I don't have a blanket on. And then press pause, pull the blanket over you and your microphone, and then record, hi, I am now under a microphone, or under a blanket.
Under a microphone.
Whatever makes sense to you.
Right.
Okay? And then you can try to see if you can hear the difference, both in the reflections and maybe some difference in terms of noise, too. You guys ready to go?
Cool.
Yep.
All right.
Finn, I'm having a hard time trying to figure out how I could do like an entire round table, like with a blanket on my head, without dying.
Yeah, so
I actually did the first round table I've ever done. I put a chair on my desk because that's what B told me to do. And I put a blanket, and she said it sounded really good. So I thought that I did okay. And then I haven't done it since.
I can't use my head as the pole for the blanket, though. Like
using a chair is a really good idea. Actually, B might have watched my video from way back
did.
when. Yeah, where I recommended the chair and the blanket. That's
awesome.
Makes me feel good. I put a lot of work into that tutorial and then thought like nobody ever saw it.
Oh, I did.
Okay, this is Chelsea Mic blanket.
This is me without the blanket. And you can probably hear my AC very clearly.
Yep.
This is me with the blanket, and hopefully I can't hear the AC as much, because that would be great.
Okay.
It still sounds like a friggin' freight train in my...
Yes, it's pretty clear. All
but it's
right.
also keeping me alive.
I envy you for having that option. Okay, we're just going to listen to a little snippet of the noise. Okay, that's one of them. And then with the blanket. Okay, this is not a big deal.
There's an above-ground freight train and a below-ground freight train.
Let's just focus on the sound of her voice.
And you can probably hear...
Okay, there's that one. And...
hopefully I can't...
Okay, so in both cases, you were actually really close to the microphone, which means that you didn't really get a lot of reflections. So...
I'm actually, right now, this is the furthest my microphone has ever been away from me.
Yeah, and now I can hear reflections in your speech. Does that make sense? Can other people hear it too?
Yeah.
Because, wait, as opposed to in the recording?
Mm-hmm. Yes, and also previously.
Well, I didn't change anything, that's why I'm confused. Like, I haven't moved my mic at all.
You spoke differently.
Did I?
And I think you were closer to the mic.
You sounded like you were close, like you were being like all intimate with the mic, you know? Like
no, I know I kept the mic where it was because I like it when it's further away from me because I feel like I think when I'm recording, my brain is like, okay, all right, this is me recording. And I wish I could just, I need to not do that. I hate
That's
it.
probably how mine sounds.
Okay, this is me without a blanket. Okay, and this is me with a blanket.
Let's listen to that again. No giggles. No more giggles.
Okay, this is me without a blanket. Okay, and this is me with a blanket.
I don't hear too much of a difference.
I swear there was a
In
blanket
this
on there.
case.
I mean, I believe you. That's just general observation.
So, what was your setup with respect to the mic?
About a little bit less than a foot away. Talking straight on.
And
In both cases,
and
because
where-
it's really hard for me to have a blanket over my head without it. So the relationship to the mic was about the same in both instances. It's just that there was a blanket on top of me in one, and there wasn't in another. And my head was what was keeping the blanket up, and the two corners of the blanket were on top of the my monitor, which I've got like a 20 some odd inch monitor in front of me.
Okay. Oh. So the monitor is flat.
Mm-hmm.
Which means that probably there was a point to that. It will reflect sound. So part of the acoustics that we were hearing in both cases is the reflection off of the screen, because it's a big screen and it's right in front of you.
Yeah, it's not a glass
It's not a
one like a
big
Mac,
difference.
but like it is a screen. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did the same thing. So how do we not have the blanket over the screen but still be able to see what we're doing in Audacity?
Well, okay. At some
can't.
point,
It's
you
impossible.
don't need to look at Audacity anymore. That's like when I'm recording, I don't actually look at the recorded signal. I get things set up so that I can be pretty stable with respect to, whatever's being recorded. Sometimes that means that I hedge my gain a little and record more around 25, 27 on average. But that means that I don't have to watch it. I don't have to feel self-conscious about watching it, tracking the sound or shape or whatever of what I'm saying. It's easier for me to speak naturally without looking at it. Does that make sense?
That might help a lot with my problem.
Yeah.
I don't look at the screen anymore.
Yeah.
So are you suggesting to record with a blanket?
What I was trying to show is that what's around you changes your sound. At this point,
I definitely saw that.
Yeah. I'm not saying you have to record in a particular way, but if you want to change the way that you sound, this is something to consider. Now, blanket is one solution. Another one is to record in a small space, like I do. There's different setups. If, for example, if you have a desk, recording under a desk with a sort of blanket kind of a thing around you, but not on you, that can be the same.
Oh, I didn't think about recording under my desk. Might do that. I don't know if I could fit.
Basically, just look out around you and see what you could do, change in your setup to get more of the sound that you like, given the options that we've played with. Okay, we've done Caroline. Let's see if we can hear the difference for Toasty.
Hi, this is Toasty, and I don't have a blanket. Hi, this is Toasty, and now I'm under a blanket. Woo!
Okay, that actually sounded very different.
Yeah, it did.
Should we? I'll just listen to it one more time.
Hi, this is Toasty, and I don't have a blanket. Hi, this is Toasty, and now I'm under a blanket. Woo!
Excellent. So, Toasty, can you describe the space that you're in?
Let's see. I'm sort of in the corner of my bedroom, and yeah, it's a pretty open space, except that I'm facing into the corner. And yeah, I have, I sort of put a quilt over my head when I did that.
It sounds actually that you're tilting your head a little. I don't know if that was happening.
Yeah. That's. I guess that's true. How does it sound like that? How can you tell?
I can. That's what it sounds like. Am I the only person that thought that? That's what it sounded like.
Well, I mean, I don't listen to audio as closely as you do, so.
Yeah. I guess. I mean, it feels physically. It's like an embodied kind of interpretation of the sound. I just sort of felt it wasn't like It was just like, anyway, whatever. Yes, it sounded to me like you were. Anyway. Okay, so you were recording in a corner. That actually means that you're going to get a lot more reflection. It's a very reverberant space to be in that. So if you've got two walls right in front of you and on the other side of your mic, you're going to get clear, direct reflections from both sides. So you could record under a blanket, or you could put a pillow or something, or like a couple of things into the corner that would just sort of diffuse the sound so that you end up not having that kind of direct reflection. So maybe you don't need to be under a blanket, but if you have using the corner, you could sort of, cut down on that reverb.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And since, it's not even actually a normal corner. It's like a corner that does a sort of a W shape. There's like a little box coming out of the corner. So there's.
I can hear that. That's more detailed than my ears would pick up.
So that's what I was only telling you because you're so adept at picking things up in the audio. But I think everything you said applies nonetheless. I can either sort of try and baffle things in the corners or move to a different space or do the blanket.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks.
Okay, so here we are going, and Mary Keith doesn't know what she's doing, volume 1. This is without the blanket. And this is within the blanket. I'm using the same volume of voice, the same Audacity settings and everything like that, but it's with the blanket. And it's very cozy. And Mary Keith doesn't know what she's doing. Settings and everything like that, but it's with a blanket.
Okay, so one of the things that seems to be going on, you see how it's louder in the second part than the first? Partially, it's because headsets are very focused, they'll pick up just the sound that's around it. By being under the blanket, you're limiting the amount of diffusion of the sound. So you're getting reflection back, but it's not orderly. So it doesn't sound like a clean reflection, but it still ensures that there's more sound around your microphone. I also wouldn't assume that you were speaking the exact same way. Both times.
I was having a hard time because I have this giant quilt here, and I'm sitting in a chair, so I have the quilt sort of tucked under where I'm sitting on the chair to keep the sound from getting out. And then I had it pulled over my head and tucked around the monitor of my computer, which I was hunched over. But
I love how everybody's like, this is so comfortable. I would always want to record this way.
But my mouth was the same distance from the microphone, and I was trying to speak in the same voice, but it felt like I was hunched over a computer rather than sitting in front of one, because mainly I was hunched over a computer instead of sitting in front of one.
Yeah. That might have also directed your voice a little bit differently with respect to the microphone.
Okay.
So I found it very clear to hear the reflections in the first one. There's sort of reverberant qualities. And the second one, that wasn't the case, but it didn't sound comfortable. So, yeah. It's up to you. What are you going to sacrifice, right, to get the best audio ever? Okay.
Everything.
We haven't really gotten into vocal quality things, but we've touched on a few of them. So orienting the microphone to control kinds of the breath-based things that end up interfering with the recording. In terms of voice quality, we have talked about head position and where you're speaking to. So if you can imagine where the person is that you're speaking to, that'll change your speaking voice. So if you move it from the microphone to, wherever it's relevant. So Chelsea, if you're talking into the microphone, but you're really talking to B, imagine B's on the other side of the desk, for example. Use your imagination. It's a very powerful thing. Yeah.
Well, she's about to be. We have to record our DJ segment.
Yeah. So, set that up in your mind. And then that should help. It's like, it's not your, like, mind palace. It's your mind, like, party. I don't know. Okay. Yeah, so simulated social setting. I see, I actually have this in the notes. I'm not making this up. I mean, I did make it up, but whatever. Other things that help with vocal quality is stuff like warming up. So changing how, giving your voice a sort of chance to adapt to us speaking in a particular way before getting carried on. And my next workshop is supposed to start right now. So let's just take 2 minutes to review the stuff that we talked about. Right, so we played with gain, and that hopefully was useful. We played with distance, and hopefully that was useful. We played with acoustic space, and again, hopefully that was useful. Do you guys feel like you know how to record better?
Oh, yes. Thank you so much. This was really helpful.
Yeah, it was really helpful.
Good. Yay! This was not a waste of time.